TraffickingHub petition has roughly, Rob, if you can show this, 2.33 million signatures worldwide. And I said, that's very interesting. After the interview was done with the new owner, I get a message from a Laila that says, Patrick, I'm the one that posted that TraffickingHub petition, getting all the signatures, and she wrote a book called Takedown, which we'll put the link below. Then I started looking into what she's done, the interview she's done, and I have, again, more questions about PornHub. I thought it was the right thing to do to bring her here to give us a different perspective, not from the owner's perspective, but from the other side saying we need to do something about PornHub. So with that being said, it's great to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So tell me, when you watched it, like what was it when you said, I'm going to reach out to Pat, I want to have a conversation? What part of the interview prompted you to want to do that?
From the beginning. I mean, from the beginning, it was clear that you were going to ask really good questions, and I want to give you credit for what you did. As an outsider, looking at the situation and being able to go deep into the important questions, but what I realized is that you weren't getting the answers, that there was deflection, that there was lies, and I said, look, we have to set the record straight because there's nothing more important than the truth. The truth is what is really going to set people free. It's what's going to bring change in this situation. It's what's going to bring justice. And I said, look, we need to actually tell the truth. And so that's why I reached out.
Fantastic. Now, for the audience to know the outcome of TraffickingHub. So I went and read what the outcome is. Rob, if you can go up a little bit so we can read that. TraffickingHub is a decentralized global movement of individual survivors, organizations, and advocates from across a broad spectrum of political, faith and non-faith, economic and ideological background, all uniting together for the single purpose of shutting down PornHub. So it's not getting them to use better technology like Yoti. It's not getting them to use better methods of, filtering things out. It's actually to shut down PornHub and holding its executives accountable for enabling, distributing, and profiting from rape, child abuse, sex trafficking, and criminal image-based sexual abuse. So your outcome with PornHub is to shut the website down.
100%.
Tell me why.
It's not to shut down the entire porn industry. It's to shut down a corporate trafficker, PornHub, because, like you just said, they have globally distributed and profited from the trauma of countless victims since 2007. And what justice looks like in this situation is not a slap on the wrist. A slap on the wrist does not deter future abusers. A slap on the wrist does not bring healing and closure to victims. So from day one, when we realized that PornHub was not a porn site, it was a crime scene infested with videos of real sexual crime. And the crime that gets distributed, it's one thing for a victim to be raped. But when that's filmed and then uploaded and then distributed for profit and pleasure to millions of users per day, they call it the immortalization of their trauma, where they'll never be able to get over that because it's going to get just like the sadistic game of whack-a-mole. They just have to keep finding it and begging and trying to take it down and again and again. And victims of this kind of abuse, we call it image-based sexual abuse, all the way from child rape to adult rape and trafficking and what we used to call revenge porn. They have a 50% ideation rate for suicide. So this is really a life and death issue. And so we felt from the beginning that the call to action here was to shut down PornHub because we felt like that was, severe harm demands severe consequence.
So, you say that, and, you obviously know I pushed them very hard when they were here. And I for me, it was like, what makes somebody want to be a porn star? There's certain things to it, even to the point that, I'm sitting here watching a documentary called After Porn Ends, the story of porn stars, what their life is like after they're out of the porn industry, and how do you go back to a normal life from that space. But there's a few things, Rob. Can you pull up the story of New York Times, the 2020 article, right? I think it is.
The Children of Pornhub.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is the article that is disturbing to read, but I want to read it to you because I think it's stuff that we need to. I got 4 kids, and I openly talk to my kids about this kind of stuff to prepare them for them because they're 12, 10, specifically to the 12 and the 11-year-old, but the 8 and 3, soon I'll be talking to them as well. I want to read this to you. So if you can zoom in, Rob, and we can read through this article together. So this is an article that they wrote, exact date, Rob, if you can go a little bit higher, December 4,
2020.
2020. Okay,
yes.
So, so PornHub prides itself on being the cheery, winking face of naughty, the website billboard, a Times Square, and provides snowplows to Boston, okay, great. Next, the supposedly wholesome Pornhub attracts 3.5 billion visits a month, more than Netflix, Yahoo, or Amazon. This is when Yahoo was relevant that you would even mention it. Pornhub rakes in money from almost 3 billion ad impressions a day. One ranking lists Pornhub as the 10th most visited website in the world. And then as you go lower, you'll see this. Yet another side of the company, its site is infested with rape videos. It monetizes child rape, revenge pornography, spy cam videos of women showering, racist and misogynist content, footage of women being asphyxiated in plastic bags, a search for girls under 18, no space, or 14YO, no space, leads in each case to more than 100,000 videos. Most aren't of children assaulted, but too many are. After a 15-year-old girl went missing in Florida, her mother found her on Pornhub, and 58 sex videos, sexual assaults on a 14-year-old California girl were posted on Pornhub and were reported to authorities. I can go on and on and on reading this entire article. It's very disturbing. When this came out, there's a story that came out on how Pornhub reacted to this, which, if I'm not mistaken, they took down 10 million videos. They
took down now today. So I want to update those stats for you, because by the end of 2020, so TraffickingHub started in February of 2020. Mm-hmm. By the end of 2020, they had capitalized on coronavirus. So they had done some crazy PR stunts, which they're really good at doing, offering free premium to the entire world. Their views and their traffic skyrocketed. So by the end of 2020, they were actually, according to the CEO, the 5th most trafficked website in the world. They had 170 million visits a day, 62 billion visits per year.
That is insane.
And they had enough content being uploaded that it would take 169 years to watch if you put those videos back to back. Now, they had 56 million pieces of content on Pornhub at the end of 2020. Today, the story that's told here in this book, today, they have been forced to take down 91% of the entire site. They went from 56 million pieces of content in 2020 to 5.2 million pieces of content today, in what Financial Times has called probably the biggest takedown of content in internet history.
That's insane. So now it's 90%, because the article I read
91%.
91%.
Yes.
At the time it was 80%,
yes.
the one that I read.
Correct. Yes.
That they take down. So let's go with that. Let's continue with that. So 56 million to 5.2 million.
You're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you this, but the last 13 and a half years I've been working on my first fiction book to write, ever. Fiction book to write. And while I finished this book, a year ago, I got the strangest phone call about one of the characters in the book, where the guy wanted to meet with me, and he read the book. And afterwards, it's like, wait a minute, am I the villain in the book? This is a story about a character named Asher, who is half Armenian, half Assyrian, whose father was involved in the Iranian Revolution, linked to Savak, working with the Shah, that they escape, and he gets recruited to a secret society. Well, when you go to the secret society, it's been around for a couple thousand years. They've developed some of the craziest leaders of all time, and they test you. There's unique tests that they have at this society where they test to see your emotional mental toughness. One of the tests that they have is very rigorous. It's purely mental. Of course, there's a physical one, but one is mental and emotional. If you're Armenian, if you're Syrian, if you're Persian, this is a book you're going to be reading and saying, holy moly, this is the kind of stuff you talk about in here? Yes. If you're somebody that's fascinated by history, this is a book for you. Characters. There's a technology that this society, secret society, builds where you go into a vault. I won't spoil it for you. When you go down, they have a technology where you get to sit down and watch and have a 3-4 hour conversation with Tupac. You can set up a debate between Karl Marx and Ayn Rand. Karl Marx is in the book, who wrote Communist Manifesto. Ayn Rand, who wrote Atlas Shrugged, is in the book. Marilyn Monroe explains the concept of seduction and sex in the book. When you read the book, it's about development of the next leaders in the world and how they do it and how they've been doing it for many years. And it's also about how to prevent the end of civilization and how this organization goes about doing it. So, I've never written a parenting book before, but if I ever wrote a parenting book, this is the closest thing to it, because it's all mindset, a lot of crazy stories. Again, 13 and a half years. Trust me, I told myself I will not publish this book until I sell my insurance company and I'm fully disconnected from it, where it's no longer my responsibility 100%. When you read this, if you're a creative person, if you like fiction books, if you enjoyed Atlas Shrugged, or if you enjoy Divergent, if you like books like that, I think you're going to enjoy reading this book. It's the creative side. Business books is very easy. Here's how you do it. Here's how this how it works. This is very creative. If you haven't placed the order yet, now you can order it on Simon & Schuster, Amazon. I'm going to put the link up below somewhere here, maybe even in my profile. Go order the book and read it. I've never written a book where I can't wait to read your reviews to see what you think about this book. So I'm going on this wild journey, and we have some plans with this book here. If you support the things that I work on, I would appreciate you going and reading the book, order the book on Amazon, and then post a review. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.